The astrology stuff is crazy because especially the Mercury in retrograde thing, because for a while I would never like know when it was going in and out of retrograde, but like there would be times where I just felt like off. I felt like weird. And then I'd be like, let me just Google search, like, is it in retrograde? And it always would be. And I really think that is real. And I know you're looking at me like I sound crazy, but I think that's real.
Joining us in the middle of her very first headline tour, it's Upsahl. Hello.
Yo, how's it going? Thanks so much for having me.
Totally. Thanks for being here. I'm Waters, joined by Calista, and
Mhm.
this has got to be an exciting time for you because you've been on tour before, but now it's your name at the top of the bill. So first things first, describe how that feels.
It feels insane. It's so surreal. I feel like the past 5 years of my life, like since I like moved to LA and like really started doing music, obviously minus like COVID when touring wasn't a thing, like I've been almost like rehearsing for this tour kind of just because I've opened for so many other artists that I love and respect. And like I feel like I've just been like taking notes for the past 5 years on like what they do when they headline shows. And now getting to like do that every night and just like be in the room with like my fans is really, really cool.
Is there a song in particular that you're really looking forward to performing?
I think my favorite song to play live is always Lunatic, just because I
Mhm.
get to like jump and just be like really high energy with the crowd. But recently it's definitely been a couple of my newer songs. One that just dropped, it's called Antsy, which goes really hard live, and then another one that isn't out yet that I get to play every night. It's fun.
Ooh, very
Mm.
cool. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
going to get a little bit more into Antsy in just a second, but first I want to ask a little bit about that energy level. Do you kind of vary up your energy or is it super hardcore high octane the whole way through?
It definitely is like a roller coaster. I feel like it's gonna be like super high energy at one point and then it'll be low energy and like it's you're just constantly like catching your breath. But I think for me, just because I grew up, like my dad was in like punk bands, so I grew up like loving like the punk rock scene and like how high energy shows like that were. I think me and my band have tried really hard to make our show feel like a punk rock show, regardless of if that's the music I'm making or not. The show is very live sounding and very high energy throughout.
Do you have like a particular lyric right now in particular that you would say best describes how you're feeling?
Oh my God, I love that. There's a lyric in one of my songs called Last Supper that is, I wouldn't even count it as a lyric because it's the dumbest thing I've ever said in a song. But the lyric is, if you don't pass the vibe check, you don't get the sushi. And I think it's just very unbothered. I feel like that's been my energy this summer making my new project and right now on the tour. It's just very unbothered. It's like, if you don't pass the vibe check, get out. We're having a good time in here, you know?
Now, I got two questions about Antsy. The first one I think is relatively simple. You've got the line in there that talks about how the internet still understands you. Which part of the internet? What's your favorite social platform?
Ooh. That changes. I like love a good Instagram story. I think I'm like one of the few people that still like love to watch people's Instagram stories. Um, but that lyric specifically is very much obviously about the For You page on TikTok. Like it was a very ironic line of like, well, my friends don't get me, but like this device on my phone does, and like that For You page is like inside of my head. Like that was kind of what it was about.
And the second question about Antsy is obviously it deals with anxiety. It deals with kind of being inside your own head. So you talk about a lot of different things happening in the song, but what do you do in real life when anxiety takes over?
I think like I am so lucky that I get to make music because that has always kind of been like my lifeline when it comes to like dealing with mental health. I'm like, oh, I can go like write a song about it. And then like 9 times out of 10, I feel like completely better after that, just because that is like sort of my version of therapy, I guess. So there's a lot of like writing involved. Whenever I'm like not feeling well, I normally like go to the studio and write about it. But some days I don't even like, we've all been there where we don't have the energy for like literally anything. And I'm like, you know what? Today's not happening. I'm going back to bed. And then I'm just like, take a little self-care day. I feel like that is very important for everyone to know that like that's cool and okay to do.
Hmm. And you were mentioning TikTok earlier on. First of all, I wanted to mention your song Drugs.
Hmm.
I totally did that trend. I had no
Oh,
idea that
that's
it was yours. So
amazing.
this is, and I know that you're also super into astrology because I saw that you recently made a TikTok saying like this Mercury retrograde was out for blood.
Yes, it
First
was.
of all, so true.
Mm.
And second of all, could you do me a favor and like convince what is over here? Because he does not believe in all this astrology stuff. Like I'm constantly trying to like explain. He's just like, sure, whatever.
Mm, I feel like the astrology stuff is crazy because especially the Mercury in retrograde thing, because I don't like for a while I would never like know when it was going in and out of retrograde, but like there would be times where I just felt like off. I felt like weird. And then I'd be like, let me just Google search, like, is it in retrograde? And it always would be. And I really think that is real. I think something about the energy, something in the air changes. And I know you're looking at me like I sound crazy, but I think that's real. And I think as far as like the astrology stuff goes, like I am a Sagittarius and I relate so hard to that sign. It's kind of like, yeah, I feel like I blame a lot of my problems on my star sign, which probably isn't healthy, but I do think, yeah, like the astrology stuff is just so like interesting to me. It's so like fascinating to read about.
Yeah, we go back and forth on the show all the time about it.
What does you tell me? You
Yeah.
tell me that every single word that she just said hasn't been something that I have said to you before as well.
It's yeah, 100% accuracy for sure.
Hilarious. Oh my God.
Now, I'd like you to do a little exercise with me right here. We want to do a little compare and contrast. Could you first describe Upsahl, the musician, in 3 words, then describe Upsahl, the person, in 3 words, and see if there's a difference?
I feel like they're both very similar, but I mean, obviously, Upsahl as a musician is very like vulnerable, very high energy, and very unbothered. Upsahl as a person is very vulnerable, very, I guess, low energy. Music is like what gives me my energy, and bothered sometimes. Yeah.
I feel like it's really cool because whenever someone asks you to describe yourself, you're always just, I have no idea. Who am I, you know?
Literally, for real.
But there's one thing I feel like we can't ignore about you as a person and about me as a person, and that's that we kind of share a hair color right
I was
now.
gonna say yours looks way better than mine. I'm like at the part of life where I really need to get it like freshened up. But
Oh,
yours
girl, like,
fire.
I understand.
No, I love it. Let's say.
We both know colored hair is a lot of work. So, you got any tips? Like, how are you taking care of it?
That's a great question because I have had to like get it down to a science because red hair fades like so fast. I'm sure you know. I have to dye it once a week, and I use the Pulp Riot stuff because then you don't even have to like mix it with. You normally have to mix hair dye with like a processing thing. This is just one and done. Leave it in for 40 minutes. Scroll through TikTok, and then you're done.
See, last night she was telling me that I should consider dyeing mine red, and I guess we all would have matched.
You so should have. That would have been so sick.
Upsahl, thank you for taking the time out of your day to be here with us. Looking forward to seeing you travel all across the country and do your thing on stage.
Thank you. I appreciate you.